A good morning and happy Monday as always, people. So we are on video number 5 on our journey to wellness, and this is going to be the part 2, I guess, of the pillars of health. So the last video we talked about the very first pillar of health being exercise and movement, and today we're going to talk about pillar 2 being nutrition. So I want to start this off actually not talking about what to eat, but how to eat it. Actually, I worked as a nutrition coach for several years, and I would spend sometimes with a nutrition client close to 3 to 4 weeks before we even talked about a macro or protein or any of these things. We would hit on how to eat first. And I do think that this is important because these are fundamental nutritional principles, so to speak, that you can use whether you're making poor nutritional choices or super nutritional choices. But these are these again, like fundamental principles, if you will, that you can always come back to. And the first one is slow eating. Now, being prior military, I can like throw hot sauce on a meal and I can down that thing in like 2 seconds. You can ask poor Carrie, I'll be finished my meal and she's like 3 bites into hers. Now, why this is even relatively important for us, I guess besides good table manners, is it takes your brain and your stomach roughly about 20 minutes to communicate with it, right? So if you got someone like me that's just shoveling this food in, I could be full long before I even recognize that I'm full, right? Thus leading to overeating. For those of you who do not know about my past, in high school I was going into the 260s and the 270s, and I remember it was like a normal thing. It's like, oh, going out to eat, you feel sick when you get done going out to eat. Now I know that that's not the case at all, but still the fact was that I ate it really fast, which led to me over consuming things a lot. So now you can take small little things into practice, like putting your fork down between bites. You can chew a certain amount of times. Like, it seems very tedious, very boring, but that is the idea, is starting to break some of these habits of just shoveling. And I know that like having the TV by you, I love to watch some like television when I'm eating my food, but it can sometimes be a detriment. So it's just something to be a little bit more mindful of, is slow down when you're eating. The second piece of this is eating until 80% full, which goes back to the last thing that I was talking about, which is where I was overeating too much, right? But finding that 80% point, and that, if the slow eating takes a lot of practice, this is going to take a lot of trial and error. You might find that there's times you're still a little bit full, or times that you might still be a little bit hungry. But the fact remains of finding that 80% full sweet spot when you want to stop eating. That way, like I said, 15, 20 minutes later, you're satisfied. You didn't overeat, but you got the amount of nutrients that you needed for that said meal. And I always like to start with these two, because if you ever find yourself on the other side of a Big Mac at McDonald's, eat that thing slow into 80% full, and you're going to be better off than if you just ate the whole daggone thing. And the last two little things in how to eat I always do like to recommend is make sure you are drinking water with every meal and every snack you do, and then eating protein with every meal too. Whether that's a lean meat, chicken meat, doesn't really matter. But just having some form of protein there with you helps yourself in recovery from the first pillar, which was exercise, and it's something that does help you feel a little bit more full. Now, the last piece of this, and I'm going to try my best to explain it since I don't have pictures here to show it, but I do want to break down what a basic plate, if you will, should really look like. So if I have my breakfast plate, my lunch plate, my dinner plate, my whatever plate, I do recommend that half of that plate is vegetables. And it can be a variety. I figured this out in my late 20s that vegetables were other colors except just green. So, and they all have different nutrients and benefits to them. So have half of that plate, a good bit of veggies. That other half of that plate, let's just break that in half. Have that first little half on top be a lean protein, chicken, turkey, fish, whatever you want. And then that last bottom second half, if you can cut that a little bit in half again too, that last bit, have some fats, something healthy, an avocado, maybe even like some oil you cooked it in, avocado oil, olive oil. And then you can have a starchy carb if you'd like that in there too. Rice, potatoes, whatever that is in there. So it's just a basic idea of something to think about of what a basic plate should look like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then to end our second pillar, the nutrition, a saying that one of my mentors years ago told me and has stuck with me for years, and I was living proof of it in high school playing all the sports that I played, is you cannot out-train a bad diet. I hope it helps, guys. Start combining that first pillar, exercise and movement, with a diet, and we're going to be getting there. I'll see you next time for the third pillar of health. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.